Welcome to the Foxhunt guide for Around the World in 80 Days. This particular hunt features quite an embellished story, so bear with me as we read through the clues. I've put chaptering down below if there's a particular one you're looking for, but for now we'll start with the first clue, which is this compass found at hole number 1. Mr. Passepartout arrived after a long train ride from London at the busy airport Eiffel. He had hoped to serve a peaceful homebody in his later years, but scarcely had the ink dried on the contract when his new master, Phileas Fogg, told him to pack a carpet bag and accompany him on a grueling tour of the world. Passepartout stopped to rest on a bench below the board of departures and there picked up a stray newspaper. So we are looking for a departure board, and that can be found down by hole number 3. And when we send ourselves down there, we can see the departure board, and there is a bench here. On the far side of the bench there is a newspaper, and on top of it a compass. Around the world in 80 days. Was his master a fool? The French press had heard tell of the English gentleman's wager and were confidently declaring the mental deficiency of its proposer. Passepartout rose heavily and ascended to the observation deck, where he was to meet said fool for coffee. So we now need to head up to the observation deck, which is at the top here, and there is a coffee station just down here in the corner. And on the table there is the compass. Now pay attention to where that red hand is facing. Phileas greeted his newly hired servant with a hot mug and a list of errands, and then left hurriedly about his own business. As for enjoying the view, the idea never occurred to him, for he was the sort of Englishman who, on his travels, gets his servant to do his sightseeing for him. Passepartout took the list and coffee over to the deck's railing and gazed out over the city to the west across the nearest bridge. Beyond he saw the Palais de Trocadero, the peculiar horseshoe-shaped museum constructed for the World's Fair. So apologies for butchering the French there, but as we need to know which way is west, we see which way the compass is facing and all the compasses so far. And we know that the west is over on this side. So once we've got our bearings, we know the west is facing the fireworks, so it's worth remembering that for future clues. Anyway, down here on the bench by the railings is the next compass. Mr. Passepartout, who had been away from Paris 5 years, was glad to behold his native city, however fleetingly. As he finished the coffee, he glanced at the list's first entry. He was to present himself at the helm of the stern-wheel passenger steamer on which Fogg had booked them passage to Italy. So as instructed, we are to find the passenger steamer, and that is down by hole number 11. When we send ourselves there, we want to head up towards the helm. Just on the left-hand side, there is the next compass. Sacre bleu! The steamer was dry docked with a broken cog in the stern-wheel mechanism. Passepartout knew even a single day's delay would suffice to fatally break his master's itinerary. After entreating the airship's captain for a description of the failing part, he repaired at once to the tower's metal scrapyard on the western side in hopes of saving the day. So now we know that the western side is the fireworks side. The scrapyard is down over towards hole number 8 or 9. So when we send ourselves down there and head out towards the fireworks, in this corner is the next compass. But the required part was nowhere to be found, unluckily. Passepartout set about asking the other airships to depart ahead of schedule, knowing that Fogg would pay handsomely for such an unaccustomed request. Finally, in desperation, he approached the cabin of the humble coal barge. So now moving to the coal barge, which is close to us in giant view down by hole number 6. Once you're there, again we head towards the helm. And just beyond his gloves, next to his coffee, is the compass. The captain of the coal barge agreed, for a price, to take them to the Brindisi, where they would find passage across the Mediterranean to Cairo and thence eastward through Suez. Passepartout realised that to be of use to his master on this ambitious tour of the world, he would have to acquaint himself with the geographical route. He returned to the ticketing and baggage zone and touched each of 4 travel posters in the order Fogg and he would visit the depicted destination, starting with Egypt and travelling east. So you come for the mini-golf, but you stay for the geography quiz. down by hole number 1 where we begin, we can see these 4 posters. And we are to look for Egypt first, and then we're looking for the sequence that they follow if we're travelling east. So we have Hong Kong on our right, we have New York straight ahead, and we have India over by the departure board. So moving east from Egypt, the first of those we'll reach is India. Next, going east still again, the next one we're going to reach is Hong Kong. So we pick up from there, and finally we have New York. Having familiarised himself with the tour's route and secured a circuitous second leg, Passepartout suddenly comprehended a bit of personal tragedy. He realised he had left the gas burner lit in his room in London, and that over the course of 80 days it would surely accumulate such an expense as to wreck him financially. So not just us hit by the cost of living, I see. He decided the best course would be to post a letter with his master's key enclosed to a cousin in the city who could turn it off. Passepartout made his way to the mail cabinet. So looking for the mailing cabinet, we can find that over by hole number 7. And when we look, there is a tray on the bottom shelf, and inside it is the next compass. Of course, the postage required would need to be paid in the local currency. Passepartout had noticed several piles of assorted loose coins around the airport. He hopped around like a beggar, taking a few francs from each and leaving double their value in English pounds. He may be a servant to a fool, but he was nonetheless an honourable man. In this manner, he eventually gathered the required amount, so there are 4 piles of coins to find. Doing these in numerical order, we can start by hole number 2. And just before we reach the security gate, on the left-hand side on this table are some coins. And we can see there is the first marked off, so 3 more to go. The next we will find down by hole number 4. And if you go to the end on the far right side by this barrel, there again are some francs. That's 2. So for the final 2, we want to head up towards the top deck, first by the piano, which you can play if you do the lost ball hunt. And in this busking vase is the next set of coins. And then finally, as we make our way to the other side of the deck, there on this table is the final pile of coins. With the letter stamped and in the mail, Passepartout dutifully returned to his master's list. Perhaps Fogg really was a fool. The remaining entries comprised a series of seemingly inconsequential instructions to be followed, rather like a child's game he had played once in Germany. Start at the bottom of the north elevator, read the first. So again, useful here to remember where north, south, east and west are. Using the fireworks as west, we know that the north is going to be this way, and there's the elevator, and down at the bottom of it we will find, just on the door, the next compass. Now turn to the west and go up the stair. From here you should see where the dancing lady is attached to the platform above. Climb to that platform. Passepartout rolled his eyes and followed his eccentric master's bidding. So we know we're facing north, so turning left will be west. There we can see the dancing lady, and it is attached to a platform at the top. That platform, if we go to giant view and crouch down, we can see is over by hole number 8. So when we send ourselves there, just at the top of that banner, down on the floor is the next compass. 7 steps south, 23 steps east, 15 steps north and ascending. After a slight jog to the east, continue 5 more steps north, turn west and walk 12 steps. Then search that precise location. Just when you thought that Duke of Edinburgh award wouldn't pay off. So we are starting by taking 7 steps south, which is going to be a left turn from west. Once we've done those 7 steps, we are looking for 23 steps east, which again is 90 degrees left, and that will be over this bridge. So count your 23 steps. I would advise either teleporting or using smooth locomotion unless you've got a huge room. Then 15 steps north and ascending. So north from here is another 90 degrees left. and we are going up. We are ascending the stairs. Next part of the clue is a slight jog to the east, which is 90 degrees right. Then another 5 more steps north, so back in the direction of the stairs, 5 steps forward. And then finally we have the 12 steps west, which is 90 degrees left again. Make our way forward, and down there is the compass. Very good, Mr. Passepartout, read a new note. I can see I have hired a meticulous and resourceful valet. Now join me on the very top deck and let us look to the journey before us. So be that a game or a test, we have seemingly passed, and our prize will be found on the very top deck. That is by hole number 17, so when we send ourselves up there and head over to the side that peers out over the 18th green, there on this raiding post is our final compass. Passepartout climbed the spiral stair to the tower's top and sat down beside Phileas. He would eventually tell his master about the unflattering headlines, the maroon steamer, the coal barge's exorbitant fare, and the gas burner, but for the time being, they sat and enjoyed the fireworks. Congratulations, you've earned the International Traveller Putter. So there we have the Around the World in 80 Days themed putter. We've got a lovely little airship on the end. I like the wooden design and the colour scheme that is in keeping with the Eiffel Tower. So we can give that one a try, as is tradition, and then we'll see what the end looks like. So let's go down by hole number 15, and for once, this wasn't edited. So there is the end of the club, and if we give it a try, seems to work just fine. So there we have it. It's an interesting story. It's great to put a bit more context behind the theme of the course and to build some character into it. So I've really enjoyed this Foxhunt, albeit a little bit wordy, quite a lot for me to read. But the club is a lovely design as well, one that I will definitely be putting out of the set to use from time to time. Just give it a double check, make sure it still works. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please do leave a like if you have, or if you found it helpful. Pop a comment down below if you've got your thoughts to share on the course and on the Foxhunt, and please do subscribe to the channel if you're not already. Thank you again so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you out on the course.